Welcome back to Roundhog Serpent. I have something very exciting to share with you because the final design of the Roundhog Serpent terrariums is done. Let's have a look. Also, please don't mind my voice, I'm a little bit under the weather. Alright, so now let's talk about features. Let's start with the door. The door is put in an angle for two purposes. The first purpose is, see, if you stack them like this, then you can always take out the door, which is really handy, because I needed a way to put in the doors so they can be opened, but because they are so small, sliding windows is not very handy. So I think this was the best option. Putting them in on an angle have two purposes. The first one was this, you can always open them. That was intentionally. And the second one, unintentionally but very handy, is because they are on an angle facing the ceiling, the snakes or the animals inside will not see their own reflection, which is pretty handy. They probably won't have so much trouble under here because they are in the shade of the grate. Now the door and this window is made from polycarbonate because it is easy to cut the size, and it is unbreakable, which is very handy during shipping. Let's take a look inside. So inside you can see there is a little tile. The tile is there as a heatsink. Underneath the tile you can place the heat mat, and I will show you how in a few minutes. But what you want basically in your heat source or with your heat source is some type of thermal mass, so you don't get a lot of fluctuations. Also, because these enclosures are so small, they are 40 centimeters deep, 20 centimeters wide and 20 centimeters high in the outer dimensions, so the inner dimensions are a little bit smaller than that. You don't have room for a very big heat mat or a very big heat cable, so you can only fit a 5 watt heat mat inside. 5 watts is not a lot of power, and if you lose that power very fast, or if you lose that heat very fast, it will not get warm enough, and that's a problem. I designed these specifically for hognose snakes, for small hognose snakes, western hognose snakes to be clear. And for that you need a lot of ventilation because they are a meadow species or a plains species, so they do like a lot of fresh, pretty dry air with a very moist soil. How do I explain that? Doesn't matter, really. So what you want is a lot of ventilation, and I did that with a ventilation grid in the front and a ventilation grid in the back, as you can see there. Of course you do want to see your snake, so I also put in a little LED light. You don't want to look into that light, so I put a little piece of cork in front of that. It's not really a cover, but it's just so you don't have to stare into the light bulb. Because of this system is so small and made of wood, the material that it is made from is concrete plywood, so it's watertight, very watertight. It insulates quite well, to be honest. So even the little bit of heat from the light bulb, where the power is converted to alternating current, from alternating current to direct current for the LED, there's a little bit of heat loss, and that heat loss actually helps heating up this enclosure, which is funny, I find. And now to one of the nicest features, I would say, because you might wonder, how do you get your heat cable in? And with a lot of the traditional vivariums and terrariums, I find it very annoying that you have to place your heat mat inside of the enclosure, also need to find a way to put your probe inside that enclosure, and have to find a way to keep the probe into the right place without the risk of getting your snake stuck on a piece of tape. So I came up with a solution for that. I made an option. You can put in your heat mat here. They are specifically designed for the Reptec 5 watt heat mat. But these are the bigger ones of the smaller ones, so you can, if you want to, fit a smaller one in there. It just slides into place. A bit tight. I do have to say that. It wasn't that tight last time. I think the wood swelled up a bit because I stored them in the garage and that's a little bit damp. So I think it swelled up a bit. These are not the final versions because there's something wrong with it. But I'll put in a little bit of extra wiggle room with the production ones. Under the heat mat there are 2 slots. Both slots are for a thermostat probe. Thermostat probe, if you use the cheap Chinese ones, they have a very small 4x4 millimeter probe or 3x3 millimeter probe. It will fit in here. That was the one I intended to use with these vivariums and to sell with these vivariums, but they are currently unavailable anywhere. So I also put in a bigger slot for more conventional thermostats. Now they are made of 12 millimeter plywood, so this is 10 millimeter by 10 millimeters. I could not make it bigger because otherwise you will poke to the bottom. So be in mind if you buy a thermostat that there's a not too big of a probe, which is a bit problematic because nobody puts the size of the probes on the product label. I guess size doesn't matter with probes. To make it a little bit more stylish and elegant, I put black foil on top of the wood on the outside. On the inside is just the concrete ply. You can see it here also. It's just a concrete ply. It's not ugly, I would say, but this looks better. Then there's always a trim, which really, especially in the aluminium version, I would say helps a lot. It looks very slick. But these specific ones have a little bit of a problem because my table saw is crooked. I screwed them together and it pulled everything a little bit crooked. So I bought another table saw. That problem should be fixed now. There were a lot of little things and in sequence in the step that I need to change, and I know now. So we are in the final step of perfecting this product. So I would say it is time to go to market. That means if you go to roundtalkservice.com now, you can order them on the website. They will be made to order for now. So if you buy them, I will build them for you. It doesn't take that long to build them. So you don't have to wait a tremendous amount of time. Unless everybody buys them at the same moment, of course, then I will be busy. They are built to order. So if you go to the website and buy 1 or 2 or a couple, I will build them for you and ship them to you or bring to the expo. You can collect them at my place. That's also fine. Because they are built to order, of course, if you want your own logo here instead of mine on the sticker, just send me your logo. I will order the stickers and put them on. I could also engrave it with a V-bit. In the CNC machine I can engrave your logo, but it does need to be a logo that is very easy to read with very hard lines, because the CNC software can do a lot. It can also do my logo, but if you have a very picture-like logo, you've probably seen them, a very picture-like logo with not a lot of definition between the lines, it can be a little bit hard to pick up that line, and I'm not a graphic designer, so I can't just trace your image and make something to that. In that case, we will need to do a sticker, but if you have a easy logo, I can engrave it for you. Also, if you want, for example, the names of your animal that's going in there engraved on it here or on the door, that's also fine. I can engrave it anywhere. We can do that also. Let me know what you think of this product. Do you like it? Do you want it? Would you want to buy it? Would you like to buy it? I will also make a bigger version. This seems pretty small, and I promise you that it's not. It is absolutely fine for a Western Hawk no snakes, and I will show you one in a few minutes. But yeah, a lot of people think it's very small, but we keep them in little Brapla stops, remember? When we grow them up, these things are like twice as big as a Brapla stop, even the big ones, the 3 liter ones. So it's plenty big. But I also will make a 40x40 size shortly. Thank you for your attention and see you in the next one. Bye. Yeah, so here you can see the lights are not on because they don't really like the lights. That's just for us. But here you can see a pretty big hognose snake from 2025 in one of the first, or is it the first? No, this is the first. But in one of the first Groundhog Serpents terrariums. This is the first. There's a little Campbelli milk snake in here. It's also doing great.